Okay, so last time I talked a little bit about Pytorch. Now we're going to actually go and do it. So Pytorch is a library very similar to NumPy that gives you access to multi-dimensional arrays, except it gives you two things. It gives you CUDA support, which lets you run things on GPUs, and then it also gives you AutoGrad, which lets us do a lot of very, very simple things without actually things that should be simple but aren't. So, namely, taking derivatives of functions. So, I'm not going to introduce very much. I'm just going to introduce real quick how to install it in Colab and how to get a GPU running. From there, after that, you probably want to look at course materials for how to actually build neural networks and similar things on top of this. But for now, you can just treat it as very similar to NumPy. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is that we're going to want to connect to our runtime. That would be the first thing to do. But before we do that, let's change the runtime type so that we have a GPU. Especially if you don't have a powerful GPU at home, this is a really nice way to get a GPU. Oh, I have another session running with a GPU, and Colab does not like it if you have multiple GPU sessions, because this is the free version of it. So we can check to see whether or not we actually have a CUDA GPU by running NVIDIA SMI. That'll give us diagnostics on what kind of GPU that we have. So you can see that we have a GPU that runs version 460. I forget what the current version of the driver is, but it's quite a bit higher than that usually, and you can tell that it's somewhat old because it has CUDA version 11.2, whereas the current higher version is 11.7, I think. To install Torch, we have to modify the command that they usually give us a little bit, which I'm going to take from a previous notebook. And it's just the same thing that we did previously with pip install, and we're going to install Torch, Torch Vision, and Torch Audio. We're going to say that there's an extra index URL which tells it where to download and where to get these libraries from. And in this case, we want to specify that we want CUDA 1 or 11.2 because we have CUDA version 11.2. And now to verify that worked, you can just say import Torch. And if it works, you have Torch. Congratulations. Now, if you're using TensorFlow or JAX or any other library, the process for doing this is pretty much the same, except that you're going to have to replace this command and this command. But the way that you get your runtime up and running is pretty much exactly the same. All right, that concludes how to use the basics of or how to install Torch. The basics of how to actually use Torch I will leave for future class materials.